Welcome to the People's Economy Podcast, the only podcast where we keep it all the way real. We are here to educate you and arm you up with some good information to keep yourself moving in this new economy. So right now, a big trend we see is a lot of companies, they're looking at the movement behind where they spend their money. They're looking at what causes do those companies spend their money to, which has been a trend amongst the millennials now for the last couple of years. They want to know where they spend the money. Those companies are donating some money to a good cause or something like that. Do you guys see that as a trend out there as well? Notice anything like that?
Yeah, Dodge, you can go.
Well, I think it depends what big companies we're talking about. I've seen a lot of companies doing the right thing. So
I think you're gonna see that trend a little more. I feel like there were people like giving donations before,
yeah,
even big companies, small companies, but I think now the public is gonna dictate how specific that is, like exactly what charity you're trying to donate to. They're gonna want it to be more transparent. They're gonna want to see like exactly where the funds are going and like if it's really making a difference. I think the difference between now and before is people want actionable items. Like they want to see what is going. Don't just throw money and make amounts that you're just saying is going somewhere. They want to see where it's going and they want to see the result as to where it's making a change. And then that's going to dictate where they spend their money, how they sort of function now as spenders. It's going to create almost a new way of a new consumer, like an updated version of consumerism is gonna happen to me, and it's gonna have to be because now they're asking. Now a couple of companies have already been sort of in the forefront to show where money's going, show where they're gonna put their dollars. So I think you can't be indifferent now. You can't be indifferent as a company. You gotta have a cause, especially with like millennials. You gotta have a cause for them to want to do business.
You don't think that it's sad that it takes like all this turmoil for the corporations to start advocating, for the injustice that's been happening since, who knows how long, the injustice dealings, you know what I'm saying?
I mean, I guess better late than never. At least, we are finally coming together and seeing that our dollar and where we spend it. That's where our power is in our dollar.
Right.
Power is always in our dollar. You're right about that.
I don't think it's sad. I think it's like Jerry said, it's not even like an emotion to it. It's like the businesses are not even, the businesses are just ran by people. So those people have to be the ones that want to spend dollars and donate. So I think it's important now for the people to be more open with what they're doing and where the money's going and how people are spending it. So I guess it could be sad, but it's like it is what it is.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily sad.
How receptive do you think big companies will be to try to do that? What you're saying, like being transparent about where their money is actually going.
I mean, a lot of companies jumped on this week. You see a lot of large donations. You can just Google it. There's actually a Forbes article exactly what companies donated how much money to what organizations. So they're moving relatively quick. But as consumers, we have to be more mindful of that now too as we spend our dollar.
Right. That's true. You got to be a more savvier consumer now. You got to be more savvy with how you spend your money. I think that especially in the last week, maybe even 2 weeks, we've definitely seen large donations of money being sent out. But once again, we got to have, maybe there needs to be like a directory now of where what company is spending on what and where the money's going. And so you can have it in one place or you're going to have it on your homepage of your website. That has to be like in the top, like donating to such and such cause. Because I think this energy is going to be around for a while. It's going to dictate how we do business. So you're going to lose a lot of customers if you don't spend money here, if you're not donating, or if you just want to be silent about it, then you're going to see a change in your profits, I'm sure.
Yeah, that's good that Big said that because millennials are actually tying causes to their companies now. Like maybe if they save the seals or,
Right.
the dog shelters, but they're tying cords like Big said, the point right in the front of their website, kind of like their
Right.
value proposition to the public.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. You got. I think I don't see that going backwards. That part's that's gonna be written in now. That's just part of what you got to do business now. You got to have a cause. You got to donate, and you could get deeper into where it's going. But I think your business now has to donate. Like you have to do something. You got to put your dollars where your mouth is, and the consumers I think are going to be more aware of, once again, where they're spending money and how it affects the whole, economy as a whole. Now we're more together now as people, I think, empowered.
Like putting all the companies to accountability as a whole. You think the money is a big enough donation? Not, because they have endless money, so it's not really like money is gonna solve the problems of the world to me.
You mean like,
Problems
is
of
it enough money to solve? Is there enough money to solve like the
change, the
change?
change? Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's twofold. That's like, is there enough money to solve the economic problems? Probably, if it's shifted differently. If the money gets shifted differently than what it was, it can create change. Because we've seen it. We've
Yeah.
seen other groups of people. There's other groups of people in America right now that are not the majority, who have made economic shifts based on how their money flows. If you look at Asian communities or places like that, they've literally created funnels that have money stay in their community and be able to build resources with that. Canal Street, Flushing, those are big,
And
and there's nothing wrong with that. That's just, they've just learned the way of how to use economics as a way to have leverage in business, and even vote in blocks. They vote in blocks, and that's all because of financial.
That leverage that they use, you think that will help them change the way they're getting paid in their job, in a way?
What do you mean?
Like if you start thinking like that, keeping the dollar in the community, is that going to help you get change in your work environment? Does it work like that? You think it works like that?
If you work for, let's say you work for company A, that's giant, big company, and you get a paycheck every 2 weeks. If you take that paycheck and you put it sort of, let's say you take half of that paycheck and you keep it, and you put it towards a mom and pop store that you buy your toilet paper or your toiletries from. Little by little, if everybody does that, yes, you can create some sort of financial backing to where you can have power.
Yeah.
Will that change your work environment? I don't know about that, because that's more what you're leaning on. That's from people. People got to change like them to change the work environment, how they treat other people. Money ain't necessarily going to change that, but it gives you the leverage. True. Money gives you leverage, though. You need leverage with finances. Yes. So like both parts. Both parts are equal to me. Only to me. So it takes two, but you can't. You're right. Money's not the fixer of everything. Of course not. Of course not. How do you think the savviness of consumers, as far as them being a little more aware now, how does that drive the market? Will different jobs be created, or will the same jobs just be different? Like, will it be a whole brand new market, or will the jobs that exist already just have to change?
That's interesting that you say that, because Monday, 300, 400,000 people going back to work. So
right. With
that's a good question. That's a real good question.
Will those people want to stay at work, or will those people want to come back home?
Oh wow! I don't know, man.
Right.
I don't know how to answer that one. That's a tough question.
Right now, I don't think they want to go back because they're getting more sitting at home. Actually,
Right.
employers are having problems bringing employees back.
Right.
Sitting at home.
Right.
People just got in that zone of staying at home, right? Yeah.
You get used to it.
And like you said, if I'm making more at home on unemployment, and you're gonna bring me back to work, but you're only bringing me back half the hours, I'm making more sitting at home than going back. So it kind of like makes a dilemma for the employers, and it makes it hard to bring people back to work because we can't. It's not like we can go back full power everything that was in. It's still going to be like a trickled process, a staggered process of going back. So if I'm used to doing 40 hours and I'm only going back for 20, I'd rather stay home and just get the whole amount that I was making for being at home from unemployment. So it's going to be hard to get people to really go back, and that's going to create probably more financial problems in itself.
But they're gonna have to second guess that because that runs out. That unemployment can run out.
Right. Right. So unless you're creating a plan right now for a long term, you got to go back at some point. You're gonna have to go back. Well, what do you do?
Back, you sign the paper. You pretty much resign. You either go back or resign. There's no like in between. If you don't go back, they can cut you unemployment. So you pretty much have to go back.
Right. You're right. You're definitely right. Like it's a rock and a hard place type of thing. You got to do a rock and a hard place. You got to decide what did you do at this time? Did you figure out another stream of income, or are you just hoping and waiting to get back outside? That's going to be like the two mentalities that are out there. The people that came up with another plan and now maybe I don't have to go back, or maybe I'm just going back until I could get my plan off the ground, or the people that are perfectly fine with just going back to normal, regular, what they were doing and working in a cubicle or whatever you did. I think those are the two people that are out there right now.
Yeah,
I don't think there's much options out there for people who had a regular 9 to 5, to be honest, because the restaurant business is not the same, the retail business is not the same, and that's like basically what, more than 50% of what people work at in the,
a good amount
on a regular basis, a regular job, you could say.
A good amount.
Especially the young people. That's why the young people are acting up the way they are. They got all this stuff going on, and when you're young, you don't have enough wisdom to know that you got everything you need right in front of you. You just have to sometimes, take a step back and see things for the big picture. So
I think the young people actually are more equipped to deal with the economy as it is now. I think they're more on their phone. They know how to make money off their phone, literally. They're more savvier with the technology. So I think older people are actually going to have more of a struggle of going back because they are used to a certain format and used to jobs being a certain way. Whereas younger people, they're going to start to just adapt and be used to, all right, I work from home now. I don't have to go back to the job. Now I could sell clothes, right? My house is now the warehouse. My house is the warehouse for the clothes. I could just sell the clothes out of my house, or I could just have I can make the restaurants at my house now. I just sell food out of my house. So I think some people will catch on, but I actually think younger people will have a easier time adapting to the new way of doing things. They're actually more moldable than the older people. Can't teach an old dog new tricks, or however the saying goes. That's kind of what it is.
I mean, if they're retirement age, they can retire. But like Jay said, I think most of the people in like that middle range, they would want to go back so bad because they don't even, that's all they know. They've been doing it for 30 years like that, go to work their job, they have their life. It's easier for young people to adapt than older people to adapt to something like that. They might not even know how to even use a cell phone like that, a smartphone. So how they're going to go from not use a smartphone, now they're going to sell all their products online, even if they have a little store. They don't know how to put it all online and market it and through Instagram pages and all that. That's the young generation is going to adapt easier to that, more fluidly.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's definitely a generation gap. The generation gap is going to separate who could navigate through this and who can't. Unfortunately, they made it that way. Because if you're older, you're not going to make an online e-commerce store. Probably you're not going to do that. You know what I'm saying? But a 19-year-old will. They already been doing it. A 19-year-old had their e-commerce store ready before this happened. So now this is just more. All right, now I just got to market different. Whereas if I'm older, I got to figure out how to even use a computer. And everybody's not going to do that. That's not going to be for everybody, especially like you said, if you're at retirement age, you're probably just going to retire. Whether you like it or not, you're just going to have to retire. They're going to force you out. I think. There's steps to it, though.
Yeah, and out of all those jobs, how many are actually coming back? That's another question we got to figure out too.
Right.
Definitely.
Right. Yeah, I think the rest of the year will dictate that. We don't even know what's going to come back yet. We're not even sure.
Going back on the restaurants, we're starting to see people that are trying to open them back up. Do you think, like, what do owners of restaurants, how are they going to feel this in this economy?
They're going to have to put tables outside at first, because I think phase 2, you can put tables outside, something like that. Instead of like sidewalk tables and chairs.
I know it's a safety. That's like for safety, but don't you think that's a little contradicting? Because like deli's been open and you've been in contact with people in delis this whole time. So what's the difference of going into a restaurant and eating sitting down?
You can't sit down in the delis though. You got to take your foot and go. Even those tables have the chairs on top of them. And restaurants been open for curbside pickup as well through all this. Most of them.
Oh,
right.
Yeah.
I think that is the difference. In a deli, they could say you're not. They can control it more. They could say you're not sitting here, so we can have you wait outside in a line. You can't do that if you're sitting in a restaurant. You have to, you know, and then they got a restaurant has to figure out, is it worth it to them to even be open? Like, are we doing enough curbside pickup to even make enough to make rent, to make payroll? A lot of restaurants started out as doing that, and then as the pandemic and the shutdowns happened, they started closing because it wasn't enough to even to make enough money. You know, a big chain could do that, like a Wild Wings could have curbside service because you know them. But if you just local wing spot, I mean, I don't know if that's enough to really keep you surviving and open. I'm not really sure. We need you they need you to be patrons in the restaurant. But I get what you're saying, because there's a lot of information going on that seems very all over the place. There's not one thing that we are sort of sticking with. So restaurant owners are in a tough spot right now. A lot of them not going to make it, unfortunately. I don't think so. That's
unfortunate, because now, let's say they've done the restaurant for 20 years. Now they got to figure out a whole different way to make ends meet.
Right. Which is crazy. Right. You figure you spent a lot of portion of your life trying to save up, trying to get the restaurant, trying to get credit, trying to get network with suppliers to give you food, and now it's so much overhead that you can't even survive. You can't do online only. You can't. Some restaurants weren't really made for that. You know, they were made for you to dine in. That was like what restaurants are made for. So unless you're like a chain, if you got a drive-through window, you're good. So the fast food chains is good. They're going to be okay. You could drive through, get your food, and it's kind of the same thing. But if it's going to take some adjustment for a little mom and pop restaurant. Well, I think we talked about that before. There's pizza shops that are giving out, like they'll sell you the whole kit to sort of have, that's their version of takeout. Like they'll sell you the dough, they'll sell you the sauce, they'll sell you the pepperoni, and you make it at home. But how long does that last?